on type. He considers the Royal International Air 2 the best airplane in the world. Expecting to see a roll on the first pass, followed by a pull-up into a loop. Reflecting on the sun. And from a tactical perspective, sometimes if you've lost visual with the enemy, that can be the one thing that gives its position away. So there are a number of companies at the moment that are looking at various coatings on the glass for the head-up display to stop that becoming a factor. Now, as you'd expect, with parts of its airspace so close to Russia, there's been quite a focus on QRA, Quick Reaction Alert Air Defence activity for the Swedish Gripens of late. And just 4 days after Sweden became a full NATO member, earlier this year, Gripens were launched for the first time under NATO arrangements to protect Baltic airspace alongside Belgian F-16s and German EF-2000s on Baltic air policing. And they intercepted first a Russian Tupolev Tu-134 and then an Antonov An-26. And one important thing with the Gripen is this is a very versatile aircraft in terms of the number of lengths of runway it can operate from. It's not restricted to long runways. It can operate even from roads, and the Swedes still train for that. They recently held an exercise near Gothenburg with Jackson.
and the fly-by-wire working very hard. So the pilot would select the alpha and then just modulate the power to maintain the height. But for those that had long lenses, if you look very closely, the canard's moving considerably actually to maintain that trajectory at that very slow speed.
Out of that into a slow speed loop, topping out at about 3,000 feet. But now coming down to recapture the display line. And they're uncomfortable. Hard turn followed by multiple rolls.
We've seen the Swedish Gripen display many times here, and that is the really interesting bit. There is never a dull moment with this display. The link manoeuvres are superb.
Now, of course, while that is a high-speed flypast, he could go quicker than that, but can't.
No. So we have a limit within the UK, which is either Mach 0.9 or 600 knots, whichever you reach first, depending on the atmospherics of the day. But in other countries around the world, they can go up to 650 knots and 0.95.
And from that enormous barrel roll, which topped out at about 2,000 feet, the noise dissipates, the speed slows, the undercarriage comes down, and we're expecting here a demonstration of just that sort of operating flexibility I was mentioning, the ability to fly from short or unprepared strips. The rationale about flying from road bases, which is one that's been practiced in many countries for a long time, is that if your main operating base is put out of action as a result of enemy bombs or other munitions, then you can remove the aircraft, take them into the field, as it were, and operate from road strips. We did it with the Harrier to some extent, but you can do it with non-vertical takeoff aircraft as well.
He's touched down now. You can see the nose leg compressing as those enormous carbon fibre brakes retard the aircraft, and it's brought it to a virtual standstill in just over 3,000 feet.
I think that's an absolutely fabulous display. Yeah, very good.
But of course, that infrastructure that you need to land aircraft on roads doesn't happen by chance. The road system has to be designed in order to take that. The length of runway needs to be a minimum of about 3/4 of a mile or 4,500 feet, and the load-bearing capacity has to be able to take aircraft that are fully bombed and fully fueled.
And free